Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय शील प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय शील प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय शील प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय शील प्रभुपाद 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 जय प्रभुपाद शील प्रभुपद 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 जय प्रभुपद श्री गुरु चरणा पद्मा केवल भक्ति सदमा श्री गुरु चरण पद्मा केवल भक्ति सदमा बंद मुई सावधान मते बंद मुई सावधान मते যাহারো প্রসাদে ভাই এ ভবতরিয়ায় যাহারো প্রসাদে ভাই এ ভবতরিয়ায় কৃষ্ণ প্রাপ্তি হয় আহা হইতে কৃষ্ণ প্রাপ্তি হয় আহা হইতে গুরুমুখ পদ্মা বাক্য চিত্তে করিয়ায় ক্যো গুরুমুখ पद्म वाक्यो चित्ते ते करिया क्यों आरो ना कोरी घमने आशा आरो ना कोरी घमने आशा श्री गुरु चरणे रति यही से उत्तम गति श्री गुरु चरणे रति यही से उत्तम गति ये प्रसादे पूरे सर्वो आशा ये प्रसादे पूरे सर्व आशा चक्षुदान दिलो यही जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से चक्षुदान दिलो जई जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से ही दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाश जाते प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाश जाते वेद गाय जहाँ चरितो वेद गाय जहाँ चरितो श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनारो बंधो प्रभुपाद करुणा सिंधु अधम जनारो बंधो लोकेनाथ लोकेरा जीवना प्रभुपाद पति तो पवना प्रभुपाद लोकेरा जीवनो प्रभुपाद हमारो जीवन हा हा प्रभु करो दया देह मरे पद छाया हा हा प्रभु करो दया देह मरे पद छाया एवे आज घुसुक्ति भुवना एवे आज घुसुक्ति भुवना शील प्रभुपाद लाइल चरणो जय प्रभुपादो प्रभुपादा प्रभुपादो प्रभुपादा श्रील प्रभुपादा प्रभुपादो प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादो प्रभुपाद 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 जय प्रभुपाद श्रील प्रभुपाद 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 श्रील प्रभुपाद नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमो विष्णुपदाय नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषो शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे चारिणे निर्विशेषो शून्यवादी श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदो श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौरा भक्त वृंद गौरा भक्त वृंद श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौरा भक्त वृंद चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौरा भक्त वृंद चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौरा भक्त वृंद जय गौर भक्त वृंद जय गौर नित्यानंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरि बोल। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरि हरि बोल। गौर हरि। कृष्ण बलराम हरे राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम, कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम, कृष्ण बलराम कृष्ण बलराम, कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम, कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम। ओ कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम। वृंदावन धाम वृंदावन धाम, वृंदावन धाम वृंदावन धाम। कृष्ण बलराम कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम। जय बलराम जय बलराम, जय बलराम जय बलराम। जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय वृंदावन, जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय वृंदावन। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन, श्री गो जय गोविंद प्रेर की जय।
Govinda Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-vedanta Swami Niti Namane Vishnupadaya Kristaya Bhutale Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvasesha Shunyavadi Pasyacha Deshatarane. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Loud, loud, loud. Dorothy. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram Hare Hare Bolo 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Bolo Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Kirtan. जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन जमुना तीर वनचारी जमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन जमुना तीर वनचारी जमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन जमुना तीर वनचारी जमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय मुष्पाद परमहंस परिजगचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत शिशिमत His Divine Grace Srila Vicharanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON Deputy Founder Acharya Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Mushpada Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtattar Shata Shishimat. His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रज वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। समावित भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glorious assembled devotees, all glorious assembled devotees, all glorious assembled devotees. Glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Isn't there somebody to start with?
He ran off because the folder was empty.
Huh?
He ran off because the folder was empty.
He was in the other, was Balaram, Purnima, and PPT.
All right, good.
So there is no.
They're working
He
on
went
it.
to put it on. His USB drive needs updating, but you can read off this in the meantime.
All right. This presentation has been done on the appearance day of Lord Balaram. It's taken from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter number 5, and the Krishna book, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All right. So everything has been organized and presented through the selected works and courtesy of Bhaktivedanta Book International.
You just speak for a few minutes and then he'll come in a few minutes.
Okay.
And then we can all watch it. You just speak for a few minutes about Balaram. Good.
All right. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter number 5, text number 4, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that Sarva Avatari Krishna Swayam Bhagavan Tanhara Dvitiya Deha Sri Balaram. The translation is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna, is the fountainhead of all incarnations, and Lord Balaram is his second body. What do we mean by Krishna's second body? Krishna and Balaram, one should not make any difference, we are advised. But yet, as mentioned, that Krishna is full of three potencies. Internal potencies are Sandhini, Samvit and Ladini potencies. And Sandhini potency is called existential potency according to Brahma Samhita. In Brahma Samhita, the very first verse after Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana Sahastra Patra Kamalam Sahastrakhyam Mahatpadam Tad Karni Karanam Tad Dhamam Tad Anantamsha Sambhavam. What is meant by Sambhavam? Sambhava means manifestation. It's not imagination. Manifestation is there. But in spiritual manifestation, only Brahma can reveal us. That what is that Chintamani Dham, where Lord Krishna resides, who manifested it? This is the Sandhini potency, means existential potency, has to be foremost to put what constituted, what formatted the Golok Vrindavan. It is ever there, but who is responsible? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but is he just floating in spiritual sky? He has his abode, he has his family, he has his entourage. Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, but to explain anything about him, he doesn't have to speak. I am like this and I am like that. Of course, in Bhagavad-Gita, he reveals himself to his dearmost friend Arjuna, and he requests similarly to us in devotional service to understand the same way. But when we see the absurdity in the familiarity of the religious groups even, including Sri Vaishnavites, what to speak of Shankarites and what to speak of impersonalists and Mayavadis. This has been also very nicely explained in Laghu Bhagavatamritam by Rupa Goswami, who is inheriting the original explanation, from all these different references from the Shastras, Purani. Such a master mind, it blows our mind away.
They know what that means, blows the mind away?
Aha! Means, for the first time you are listening these kind of things. It means, I never heard that before. So, the revelations Rupa Goswami will tell that those who are of lesser category of understanding Krishna by their either speculation or by some mixed shastric evidences or this or that, most of them, they can find that he may be a very powerful personality, a very extraordinary personality, but his body was made up of the three modes of material nature, therefore he is confined to material laws. This is very, very prevailing understanding, which is actually unfounded. How did it happen is a question, but at the same time, since Mayavadis spread all around the world, it becomes difficult to pinpoint. But if the cradle of culture is in Bharatvarsha, the cradle of Mayavad is also Bharatvarsha. Everything spreads from here. And in the material world, the three modes corrupt our consciousness, which is pure in the beginning, and we give tainted opinions. But to prove all these things, which is either individual opinion, fantasy, or interpretations, even taking Shastric references just to give their own opinion, but the descendants of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there are 6 Goswamis who were empowered personalities. They are Nitya Sangis. And for those students in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have to understand that Chaitanya re sangi sangi nitya siddha kari mane je jaye Brajendra Sutta paas. Everybody aspires to go to Brajendra Sutta, Lord Krishna. But they cannot reach. Who can reach? Those who have implicit faith that all the intimate associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are eternally liberated. They do not give up the company of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and they execute his order just to prove. So Lord Krishna also, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, according to the verdict of the Shastra, is the second body, is Balaram. His second body is Balaram. Just to explain who Krishna is. And in the line of Balaram, who is called Jagat Guru, Adi Guru, because his existential potency, and he proves that there exists the spiritual world. There exists the spiritual world, which is dependent upon the spiritual energy. Then there are 3 in nature. And the Lord Krishna is called the proprietor of the 3 or the Lord of the 3. Traidhisha. And from that reflection, the 3 worlds in material world, 3 gunas, all the 3 are coming down. So, if you want the clarification, then you have to go through Laghu Bhagavatamritam, upon which Chaitanya Charitamritakar Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is explaining. So, this presentation has been from that, but at the same time, the source of presentation originally Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami got is Laghu Bhagavatamritam. It manifests first. But because Chaitanya Charitamritakar was requested by the Goswamis to explain the Leelas of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wanted to prove on the basis of Laghu Bhagavatamritam that Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna nahi anya. He is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Nityananda Ram is his second body. Good. So, this particular verse, and I am losing here, I don't know, how do I do? Safari cannot open the page.
You lost the page.
Yeah. She's coming.
She'll do it.
Okay.
You don't need it now? You still want to read it?
Okay.
It's not Safari.
Now how do I turn the page on?
That way to turn that way, or that way to back. So that way to forward and that way to back.
Okay. This way to forward? Right.
Yeah, so that's where you started.
Okay. So, now how do we do that? Okay. So I do that on the both the things.
The next button.
Exit? No, this one.
You want me to keep up with that? So you don't
Okay.
You have to show them.
All right.
Let me do this.
Okay, yeah, all right. You go ahead. So, the translation is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is the fountainhead of all incarnations. Lord Balaram is his second body. And the purpose, Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, is the primary Lord, the original form of Godhead, and his first expansion is Sri Balaram. The personality of Godhead can expand himself in innumerable forms that have unlimited potency are called svanshas, and the forms that have limited potencies, the living entities, are called vibhinnanshas. Many a times, svansha, swa means his own, Krishna's own anshas. Vibhinna means vishishti rupena bhinna. Even though they are part and parcel, but they have been separated by some agency. That's called vibhinna. So we are all vibhinnanshas, while Krishna in his expansions are svanshas. So, text number 5. एक ही स्वरूप दोन है भिन्न मात्रा काय आद्य काय व्यूह कृष्ण लीलार सहाय. They are both one and the same identity. They differ only in the form, which is the first body expansion of Krishna, and he assists in Lord Krishna's transcendental pastimes. The agency of these pastimes is Sandini, Samvit and Ladini, Shaktis. Right? Okay. Balaram is a svansha, personal expansion of the Lord. And therefore, there is no difference in potency between Krishna and Balaram. Only difference is in their bodily structure. Structure means vyuha or color, many attributes that make something different, even the same body. At first expansion of Godhead, Balaram is the foremost assistant of Sri Krishna in his transcendental activities. The presence of Adi Guru, Lord Balaram, is to explain about Lord Krishna. If Krishna tells himself, then he requires two things. Bhakto asi sakha cheti rahasyam hetaduttama. One must be a devotee and must be related to him. And nobody can understand directly Lord Krishna without these two qualifications. Who can have the potency to make us devotees? Who can put us into the progressive path of devotional service and put us into relationship? This is the actual function of Adi Guru. And the representative of the Guru Balaram, the disciplic succession of acharyas in our line, they also establishes in the first initiation Sambandha Gyan. Sambandha Gyan. Are we related to Lord Krishna? So, where the potency will come from? Origin is Balaram. Lord Balaram assumes 5 other forms to serve Krishna. He himself helps in pastimes of Lord Krishna, and he does the work of creation in 4 other forms called the Chaturviha, 4-armed forms known as Vasudeva, Sankarsana, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. This is also very nicely explained in Laghu Bhagavatam. Chaturvyah. But there are Chaturvyah in Golok Vrindavan also. And they help directly interfacing the relations and activities pertaining to the relations in Golok Vrindavan. From there, secondary expansions. In the Vishnu Tattva form will be there, the Vaikuntha. There are 24 Vaikunthas, but they have their own expansions also. Other expanded Vaikuntha planets are also there. So innumerable planets. But main are considered to be 24. And they are Chaturvyahas. And they possess 400 forms. In Golok Vrindavan, nobody possesses 400. Only 200 forms. We are fake. We are made in image of God. We are fake. So we have, Prabhupada brought this movement in a very sublime way to make us re-educated in the science of Krishna consciousness, which was carefully taken away by the onslaught of the time, Kali Yuga. But can you imagine what a tremendous task Srila Prabhupada rendered? Literary, he even he does not have a conception what to do or what not to do, but he has firm faith on the order of his Guru and Krishna, and everything manifests from that. He represented as a pure Vaishnava, a Vaikuntha man, how yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarva gunai tatra samasate suraha. All the virtues of all the demigods are embodied in a pure devotee. Harava abhaktasya kuto mahad guna manorathena asati dhavato bahi. We are impostors. We have not been seriously studying our Shastras. So therefore, we will not be much benefited. Chanting of Hare Krishna can give us impetus to become more serious and look into the philosophy, and then preaching. Preaching is the essence, and you will be empowered by the holy name to preach. Jare dekha tare kaha Krishna upadesh. Hamare agya guru hana tare desh. So naturally, it behooves on each and every individual who is initiated in ISKCON, inherits this obligation to be fulfilled. So, Lord Balaram is expanding in Chaturvyah, Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. Right. Lord Balaram executes the order of Lord Krishna in work of creation, manifestation of both spiritual world and the material world. And in the form of Lord Shesha, he serves Krishna in various ways. All the forms he tastes, the transcendental bliss of serving Krishna. All his expansions of Balaram are tasting the transcendental bliss in serving Krishna in different capacities. No one can approach Krishna without first getting the mercy of Baladev. Heno bine nitai bhai Radha Krishna paite nai. This is very, very scientifically proven in Chaitanya Charitamrita with the foundation of Rupa Goswami's understanding. Whenever Krishna appears in the material world, he is accompanied by his associates and paraphernalia. 5,000 years ago, when Krishna descended into material world, he was first preceded by Baladev. Krishna is mastermind. As soon as Balaram appeared in the womb of Devaki as the seventh child, Krishna immediately, without delay, tells Yogamaya, go and transfer my anshas. And Rohini's Karpa. She is also Vasudev's wife, but due to Kamsa's atrocities, he chose her to go in the shelter of Nanda Maharaj in Gokul. So Balaram's appearance is also within the precinct of Gokul. Later on he was married off, also in expansion of Gokul, which is called Baldev, Daubaya, he will talk later on. But the manifestive energies, both spiritual and material, is the function aspect of Balaram, who is the master of Sandhini potency. Just like Samvit potency is Saraswati. Vagisya vadane Lakshmir yaksasi vakshasi yasyaste Radaye samvit tam nashingam ambaje. I worship Lord Nrsingadev. There are three forms of Lord Krishna. They are called Purnam. One of them is Lord Nrsingadev. Purnam. What is the second one? Ramachandra. And the third? Krishna. Krishna himself. Okay. So there is no difference philosophically, esoterically, and in spiritual manifestation. These three forms are most worshipable in ISKCON. All right? So, whenever Krishna appears in the material world, he is accompanied by his associates and paraphernalia. 5,000 years ago, when Krishna descended into material world, he was first preceded by Baladev. When Baladev appeared as seventh child in the womb of Devaki, she could understand that this was a divine child, and this made her all the more concerned about his safety. Yogamaya, Krishna's internal potency, transferred the unborn child from the womb of Devaki to that of Rohini, one of the other wives of Vasudeva, and who was hiding from Kamsa in the house of Nanda Maharaj in Gokula. Garga Muni, the venerable Kulaguru, the family priest of Yadu dynasty, revealed to Rohini that the child she was carrying was indeed that of her husband Vasudeva. At the time of the name-giving ceremony, he named the child Rama, one who gives all pleasure. Rama means one who gives all pleasure, referring to the immense strength of the child. Garga Muni predicted that he will be also known as Balaram. Bal means strength. We need strength, energy, potency to manifest something. Then knowledge is also strength. All the opulences are supporting to manifest something, even in the material world. So what to speak in spiritual world? So Balaram has all the six opulences of Krishna. Lord Balaram knows the nature of Lord Krishna. And therefore he is identical with Lord Krishna. In Kathopanishad, this is said, na tasasya karanam karanam cha vidyate. Krishna's definition. For him there is no cause or anything to do. He is causeless. But he is the cause of everyone. Everything. Right? So, nachatasya karanam karanam cha vidyate. And therefore, nachata samasam abhi adhikacha drashyate. There is nobody equal to or greater than him. And parasya shaktir vividhiya suruyate. His energies are so variegated that swabhaviki jnana bala kriyacha. The energy is acquainted with the nature of Lord Krishna, and therefore without telling anything or ordering any energy, they act according to his desires, automatically. Swabhaviki, and that is called Gyan, Bala and Kriya. All that is energetic is understood through the agency of something called work. In Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna says, karma brahmodbhavam viddhi. The energy of performing our karma, it's not our own. It is originated from Brahman. Tasmat sarvagatam brahma nitya yagya pratishtitam. Therefore, one must observe the activity that is called akarma, and that is yajna. So in yajna, only Vishnu is the chief devata to be worshipped. So yajnathat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana tadartham karma kaunte mukta sangha samachara. Only for the purpose of satisfying Lord Vishnu, the Yajnapati, you have to perform your activity. These activities will be called akarma or yajnarthat karma. Anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. Anything else will be binding. So naturally, our lives are centered around how to please Krishna by performing each and every activity. And we have to see the accountability also. By the end of the day, we must tell by my activity if Krishna is pleased. If you do not know, then if the Guru is pleased. If you do not know that even, then if the devotees are pleased. That is the equation. Never to be underestimating the potency of devotees engaged in devotional service. Never deride them, and we have to observe Vaishnava etiquette. The strict rules, and that is the first and foremost lesson we are given in Hari Bhakti Vilas. And even I'm applauding Mother Prashanta. She is putting Bhakti Sadachar prior to Bhakti Shastri. People do Bhakti Shastri, but without Bhakti Sadachar, what is the value? So this is a laudable effort, and I think eventually it will become much more fruitful to make a very serious student in Krishna consciousness. So, Gargacharya is naming Balaram. So, Bala is the strength. And why we need strength? To manifest something. So, what will Balaram do? He will do everything that because Krishna is the real identity and is Satchidananda Vigraha. Satchidananda, the three potencies are coming from Sandhini. Samvit and Ladini. Three gunas are transcendental. But when in the creation Mahavishnu glances over the Pradhan Prakriti, they become opposite in Sattva, Rajan, Tamagun. Right? So, we can't understand Krishna on the basis of Sattva, Rajan, Tamagun of material nature. So therefore, Mayavadis have to be chopped out. Alright? Impersonalists, they trust only two potencies. Samvit and Ladini. No Sandhini. Impersonalists depend upon these two. And Mayavadis also take the help of it. Adi Shankara, did that. If somebody knows the Shivoham Stotram, Chidananda Rupaya Shivoham Shivoham. No such Chidananda, but only Chidananda Rupaya. Now, if Chit and Anand is going to manifest a form, that is Shivoham, Lord Shiva. Now, Lord Shiva is not a temporary identity. He is also eternal. And therefore, he is residing Kailas, which is on the other side of Viraja. His reflection to intermingle with Mother Durga, the custodian of material world, is in called Mahakalapura. You can see in Brahma Samhita chart, this will be very nicely explained. All right? Since he was forcibly attracted from the womb of Devaki to that of Rohini, he was also be called Shankarshana. Samyak Akarshana. He was forcefully attracted. So his business is also to bring anybody and everybody towards the lotus feet of Krishna. By hook or crook. In the hook you need energy, power. And in crooking also you need some kind of energy. Yena tena prakarena mana krishnam niveshayat. By hook or crook, just engage your mind in Lord Shri Krishna. This is Balaram's function. So, as the son of Rohini, he was known as Rohini Nandan, and as the elder brother of Krishna, he was called Dauji. Powerful Lord Balaram, in 16 years old, full of lustre of youth and has fair complexion, the color of crystal. He wears a blue garment and a garland of forest flowers. His handsome hair is tied with a graceful top knot. Balaram's beauty is enhanced by earrings touching his cheeks. His face is decorated with tilaka made from musk, and his broad chest is ornamented with a garland of gunja. Balaram's voice is very grave. Don't think because he is always in intoxicated state of Varuni, he speaks in a derelict language. No, his voice is always grave. Balaram's voice is very grave and his arms are very strong, touching his thighs. Ajanu bhujam. Like that. The splendor of Balaram's transcendental form eclipses many millions of glistering rising moons, and the slightest scent of his boundless strength is sufficient to destroy many armies of demons. Slightest scent from the Balaram's body. Because he is very powerful. So the power emanates the smell. And the smell can destroy many armies of demons. And there's no exaggeration. The supreme way to explain is not allegorical. But when we are accustomed to understand, then we will be carried on to look into the premise only of the spirituality. We will never go and try to compare any of these features with material manifestation. Although he knows the supernatural power of his younger brother Krishna, still out of love for him, he never leaves Krishna alone in the forest, even for a moment. Balaram is Sri Krishna's dearest friend and his greatest reservoir of the nectar, mellows of many kinds of transcendental pastimes. Then this pastimes...
You're not going to be able to go through all the pastimes.
Okay. You know Dhenukasur, how he was killed. Then Pralambasur is also killed. Dhenuka, I will skip. This Pralamba is also there. He became a cowherd boy, imposter. What it means that if our mind is corrupt, we will not by our acharyas. Understanding the invincible potency of Krishna, such a demon which are within our impurified states, we may decide to abduct Balaram, but the end of the game as losing party, we are supposed to carry the burden of Balaram, but the nefarious desires, Balaram will crush us to death. So, better not to behave like a Pralambasur. Balaram then brought his fist down to the head and smashed him. Balaram glorified by Krishna. This is another beautiful loving exchange explained in 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. As the elder brother of Krishna, Balaram was the object of his love and respect. Once we were walking in the forest of Vrindavan, Krishna observed that the trees bending down and praying, paying his obeisances. He glorified the lotus feet of Balaram as being the object of devotion, even for the demigods. He said that the trees which were impersonalist in the previous lifetimes, witnessing the personal form of Balaram, were now praying for his devotion. What we need to understand in 10th canto, even after playing with the cowherd boys, Krishna said, "Oh, brother, I'm tired. I want to sleep under the tree." And Krishna all of a sudden glorifies the trees in presence of Balaram. Trees were also manifested. The spiritual trees are the manifestation by Sandhini potency anyway. So Balaram is responsible. So, and the same nature of the trees are also being observed here. Parokpakarai phalanti vriksha. The vriksha means the trees fructify for doing paropkar. For the human being, he is meant for doing paropkar. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Janma sarthaka kari kara paropakar." So, Krishna is glorifying. Etanvan janma safalyam dehinam iha deheshu pranay arthai dhiya vacha archanam dehinam sada. Krishna says, the human form of life is meant for sacrifice. If you cannot give your life for Lord Krishna, then give some artha, your hard-earned money, in service of Krishna. If you cannot do even that, then give your intelligence in service of Krishna. And if you say, I'm a dumb urchin, then chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Another incident is important is Yamuna Devi chastised. Even Yamuna Devi, the dearest of Lord Krishna, she does not know the glories of Balaram. So, because she was very chaste, and she would not put any faith in anyone. But Balaram's function is to get her to surrender to Krishna. So how can he not do the function of chastising her? Because he did for the Kauravas to drag the Hastinapur, the same plow. So she was threatened and she surrendered to him. She was devoted to Krishna. But the chastity of even Lakshmi was preventing her to calm down her husband in the form of Nrsimhadev. When all the devas finished their prayer and yet Nrsimhadev was not satisfied, he was still in angry mood, Brahma said, Mother Lakshmi, go and satisfy your husband. My husband? She is called Shankita. She is doubtful. So how could? She did not dare even to go near. Then Brahma said, Prahlad, he appeared for you. Only you can satisfy. At the last, fine. Prahlad was ready, cool, calm, quiet, raising his hand to garland the Lord, and immediately fell down at the lotus feet. Nobody fell. All the demigods did not fall at the lotus feet. They just stood up in the hand with prayerful mood. That's about it. Prabhupada said, look, a pure devotee like Prahlad is the leader of all the demigods. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarva gunai tatra samasate sura. This is the example. A pure devotee. Why do we worship Srila Prabhupada in front of the Lord? Is exceptional. Never underestimate the potency of Srila Prabhupada. From zero to everything he has given in our hands. So you can imagine what is pure devotion. So Yamuna finally understands. Then Kauravas were also chastised and dragging Hastinapur. These are the Babaji will tell you all about Dauji and his. I'm taking your time, or how much time do I have?
You've got a couple of minutes. You can
Okay. All right. This is almost going to be finished. All right. Romaharshana's Sutta Goswami's father was in Purani. That tells all the Puranas. But he did not get up when Balaram appeared. Balaram, just little blade of kusha grass, killed him and put his son. At that time, in front of Sutta Goswami, Romaharshan was killed. His father was killed. But he did not shed a tear. Can you imagine what a power in devotions is? So,
Just the mercy of Balaram.
Mercy of Lord Balaram. Lord Balaram exemplifies the service attitude to Krishna. His only mission is to please Krishna by rendering service to him. whether it is in the creation of the material worlds, maintaining the spiritual worlds, or as his personal paraphernalia. Lord Balaram is eternal companion of Krishna. He came as Lakshman with Rama, and later as Nityanand Prabhu with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jai. He is the original spiritual master. Anyone desiring to make spiritual progress must first get the mercy of Balaram. Lord Balaram ki. Thank you very much. Anybody has any question?
Maharaj, you said Balaram, Lord Balaram is execute the orders of Krishna to create the universe.
But Krishna does not have to give him order. Balaram is his second body. He knows what is in the mind of Krishna. His potencies knows what is in the mind of Krishna. Swabhaviki jnana bala kriya cha. Swabhav means what? Swa, his own. Bhav means nature. Krishna's own nature is to be understood. Then everything becomes automatic. You will see it as an automatic. Yeah. Potency. Oh, Sandhini potency. Sandhini means manifestive potency. Manifestation. Sandhini, Samvit. What? Yes. Everything which is manifested is to serve Lord Krishna. Why not? The temple is a construction, is the energy. According to the Shastra, it is the home of the Lord. Who do we have to worship? Balaram. We borrowed his energy, we took his permission to construct the appropriate mansion. Devotional service, devotional service is independent nature of Lord Krishna, does not depend upon anything. It is as independent because she is, Bhakti Devi is the manifestation of Samvit and Ladini potency together. Radharani is purely Sandhini potency. Ladini, purely Ladini potency. But Bhakti Devi is, by performing bhakti, you will get the knowledge. That is Sandhini, Samvit potency. Samvit. Even Mayavadi borrows this name, Samvit. Sadhvi Rutumbaras, it's called Samvit. But she gives knowledge of what? Impersonal. Only Samvit and Ladini. One who ignores Lord Balaram doesn't get back home, back to Godhead. Yeno bine nitai bhai Radha Krishna paitena. This is the faith, cultivate. And that's what Prabhupada requested us. So thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki. Yeah. Baba. I'm giving you a very warm seat.
Daoji Maharaj ki. So first of all, we want to thank Maharaj for such a wonderful learned presentation about Lord Balaram. So, well, very deep. We thank Maharaj very much for this wonderful presentation. So we'll start with a little Brijbasa song that mentions mentions Balaram's name. Because as we just heard, he's the elder brother. So elder brother in Brijbasa we call Dao. So Balaram became Daoji. पार करेंगे नैया रे बजो कृष्ण कन्हैया पार करेंगे नैया रे बजो कृष्ण कन्हैया. Par means to cross over. Just like now Delhi's expanded on the other side of Jamuna, so they call Par Jamuna on the other side. So we're going to cross over this great ocean of material existence, singing the name of, our boatman is singing the name of Krishna Kanhaiya. Par karenge naiya re bajo Krishna Kanhaiya. Par karenge naiya re bajo Krishna Kanhaiya. पार करेंगे नैया रे बजो कृष्ण कन्हैया पार करेंगे नैया रे बजो कृष्ण कन्हैया कृष्ण कन्हैया दाऊजी का भैया कृष्ण कन्हैया दाऊजी का भैया कृष्ण कन्हैया दाऊजी का भैया पार करेंगे नैया रे बजो कृष्ण कन्हैया पार करेंगे नैया रे बजो कृष्ण कन्हैया पार करेंगे नैया रे बजो कृष्ण कन्हैया पार करेंगे नैया रे बजो कृष्ण कृष्ण कन्हैया दाऊजी का भैया कृष्ण कन्हैया दाऊजी का भैया कृष्ण कन्हैया बंसुरी बजैया बंसुरी बजैया मखना चुरैया मखना चुरैया गिरी बारुतैया गिरी बारुतैया रास रचैया रास रचैया पार करेंगे नैया रे बजो कृष्ण कन्हैया पार करेंगे नैया रे बजो कृष्ण पार करेंगे नैया रे बजो कृष्ण कन्हैया पार करेंगे कृष्ण कन्हैया दाऊजी का भैया Krishna Kanhaiya, Dauji Kabaiya, Krishna Kanhaiya, Dauji Kabaiya, Bansari Bajaya, Bansari Bajaya, Makana Churaya, Makana Churaya, Giri Barutaya, Giri Barutaya, Rasa Rajaya, Rasa Rajaya, पार करेंगे नैया रे बजो कृष्ण कन्हैया, पार करेंगे नैया रे बजो कृष्ण, पार करेंगे नैया रे बजो कृष्ण कन्हैया, पार करेंगे नैया रे बजो कृष्ण। Krishna Kanhaiya Lal ki, Bolo Sri Dauji Maharaj ki. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manubhistam Sapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantigam Aradhanastrandan Dairidam Yache Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padambujo Dulisyam Janma Janmani. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And Garga Samhita is a beautiful prayer and praise of Lord Balaram. Shanka Kunendu Svedanga Baladev. Shanka Kunendu Svedanga Baladev. Shanka, of course, we know means conch. So Balaram, he's white like the conch. Kunda, just like in the summertime, we get these wonderful little mogra flowers. We make so many beautiful, all over Braj right now, so many beautiful flower palaces are being made with this jasmine flower, this mogra flower. But in the winter time, there's no jasmine, no mogra. This beautiful white flower called Kunda appears. A little bit of pinkish highlights. So Balaram, he's white like that Kunda flower that comes in the winter time. Shankakut Indu. Indu is another name for the moon. Unfortunately, there's so many clouds. There's beautiful full moon tonight. Unfortunately, because of the clouds, we're unable to see. But Lord Balaram, he's white like the full moon. Shankakut Indu Svedanga. Svet means white. Anga is, of course, limb. Balaram's limbs are all white. So, anyone knows, Prabhupada told us one time, or he asked one time, what is the most important verse in Bhagavad-Gita? Anyone know? Everyone put Sarvadharma, no. Mama Manmana Bhavamrat Bhakto. Prabhupada said, everybody's put their favorite verses, Manmana, so many verses they put. And Prabhupada said, no. Finally he said, Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tattvata taktva deham punar janma naiti sorjuna. Prabhupada said, this is the most important verse of Bhagavad Gita because just by understanding Janma, of course Janma is a few days we're going to celebrate Janmashtami. Janma means birth. Janma karma, activities. Janma karma chame divyam. Almost like English, divine. Huh? Janma karma chame divyam evam yoviti tatvata. One who knows this in truth, tyaktva, just like we know the word tyag, that's the noun, the verb is tyak, tyakta, leaving this body. Punar janma nahi. There's no punar janma. Punar janma means again take birth. If I don't take birth, then what will happen? Mom, don't worry. Mom eti sorjuna. Oh Arjun, you will come to me. This is the most important verse in Bhagavad-Gita. It's just you understand this thing. Krishna's birth and activities are divine. Prabhupada once said Krishna has his Rasa Leela, we have our Raska Leela. So if we understand that Krishna's Leela, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's birth, all these things are divine, then we'll go back to Krishna. We won't take another birth. So holy days like this, Balaram's appearance day, is a wonderful day to remember these things. Because we know the Lord is unborn. In Bhagavad Gita, he says he's unborn. He's eternal. Still, just to please his devotees, he takes birth. Just imagine how merciful Krishna and Balaram are. There's millions of somehow this material world is called ekpad vibhuti, 1/4. Now you've tried to explain to me what 1/4 of infinity means. I don't know, but this is 1/4 of infinity. There's billions of universes, and each universe Lord expands as Garbhodakshay Vishnu. And then as you call him? Shirodakshay. So Krishna loves these tiny living entities so much. All the way down from Golok. Billions of years he comes in this little universe where we're stuck. He's so kind. Can you imagine? There's billions of... Krishna is so merciful. Balaram is so merciful. He chooses some devotee to take the part. Actually, he has his eternal mother and father, but he displays these pastimes for us. So these are wonderful days to remember all about Krishna, just to attract us. He's so great, all the way up there in the spiritual sky. We're just one tiny, the universe is like mustard seeds. You see mustard seeds, nothing. But Krishna came all the way, Balaram came all the way down here, just to save us. How merciful he must be. So he gives a chance, he tries to attract us. Just like I was listening to a lecture the other day, somebody was saying that in their temple, they were discussing Krishna and Balaram's childhood pastimes. And this man was crying. Every day they're discussing, this man was crying. So finally they asked him, why are you crying? He says, I'm remembering my little grandchild. So we're naturally attracted by these childish activities. So Krishna performs this just to attract us. Krishna's child, even just remembering his grandchild, he's crying. Krishna's activities he's so amazing. Once we understand, he's the supreme Lord of everything. But he's acting just like a little child to attract us to come back. So this is Balaram Purnima. Sometimes we say Jayanti. But I read one lecture by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. He describes Jayanti refers to the astrological configuration at the time of Krishna's birth. 8th day, Rohini Nakshatra, so many things are there. Wednesday, whenever Janmashtami comes on a Wednesday, it's very special because Krishna was actually born on a Wednesday. But nowadays, everybody's got a Jayanti. Gandhi Jayanti, Tilak Jayanti, everybody's got a Jayanti. He says it only refers to Krishna, that kind of astrological configuration when Krishna appeared. So this is Balaram Purnima, Balaram's appearance today, Balaram Avirbhav. And we should discuss something, why we're celebrating today, especially this Purnima, Balaram Purnima, Shravan. This is Shravan Purnima. Because there's one book, Garga Samhita, that describes that Krishna's birth was on the 2 days before Radhastami. The Brishbasis, all over Braj, you'll see on 2 days before Radhastami, everybody's celebrating. Balaram Chat, they call it. But if Balaram was born after Krishna, that means Krishna had to wait another whole year to then appear. So Jiva Goswami and Gopal Champu, he argues then the pastimes don't make any sense. I mean, for 1 year Balaram didn't have any name because we were just reading those pastimes. We were just seeing the beautiful picture. Garga Muni gave the names together. I mean, for 1 year Balaram didn't have any name. They both took their first step together. We know one 1-year-old child can run. He's driving his mother nuts. But if Krishna and Balaram took their first step together, then how is it possible? They both rolled over in their cribs together. They both began crawling together. They both took their first step. They began walking together. So Jiva Goswami argues that, and he also points out some shastras, that Balaram appeared especially in Gaudiya Sampradaya, we're celebrating today, the Shravan Purnima, as the appearance day of Lord Balaram. Bolo Sri Dhaoji Maharaj ki jai. And we heard something about Balaram's appearance. We know, actually, just like we've also heard that actually Krishna appeared in Gokul. He did not appear in Mathura. That was Vasudeva. Same way, Balaram, he doesn't appear outside of Braj. That was Mahasankarshan who appeared in the womb of Devaki. And Rohini, when she was pregnant, she was sent to Braj for protection from Kans. And already within her womb was Baladev, we just read all about the second expansion of Krishna. First expansion of Krishna, second body. The Balaram was there within Rohini's womb, and that's Mahasankarshan. He merged into the body of Balaram. So Balaram, he also, of course we know that he appears, but he was never outside of Braj. These are expansions of Krishna who go to Mathura and Dwarka. So that seventh womb of Devaki, everybody understood that it was miscarriage. And Balaram was there in the womb of Rohini. So therefore they're both appearing 8 days apart. So all the pastimes make sense. If they walk, they had their name-giving ceremony together, walking together, everything together. They're just 1 week apart. And somebody, who was it other day, he was telling the story of Ram Leela, Lakshman. He was a younger brother, and he always had to follow his older brother's orders. He was telling that whole story. I was going to tell that story, but anyway. Finally, Lord Ram told him to light build a pyre and put Sita in it. He said, how is my brother asking me this to do? So he collected the wood, but it was like his heart wasn't in it. His body was moving, but his heart wasn't in it. He built it. And he vowed, if next time we come, I'm going to come as the older brother, and Kanhaiya will have to follow whatever I say. Still, we saw Krishna always got his will. Just like Balaram wanted Subhadra to marry Duryodhana. But Krishna had arranged that it was going to be Arjuna. And Balaram was so upset. He was ready to, when Arjuna kidnapped Subhadra, he was ready to shoot him. And he said, Daubaya, who's got the reins? And he looked closely. Subhadra was driving the chariot. So if she didn't want to go, why is she going? Oh, Kanhaiya! Krishna always got his will. Sometimes Balaram, when the Kurukshetra war was there, he went off. He was, Krishna couldn't make him stay. He had friends on both sides. In fact, he's the only person we know who was very merciful to Duryodhana. Because Balaram taught him how to fight with the club and so many. He was always very merciful to Duryodhana, nobody else. So, anyway, it's very interesting in Gopal Shambhu's described that when Balaram appeared from the womb of Rohini in Braj, he was totally inert. That's what we see as soon as a child is born, at least it cries, moves its hands and legs and like that. Nothing. Just dull, jar. But whenever he comes on the lap of Yasoda, where Krishna is already lying in Yasoda's lap, in Yasoda's womb, then he becomes lively, begins to move his hands and legs and smile and everything. And as soon as Rohini takes him back, so for 1 week he was like this. Then finally he appeared. And it's very interesting. One time we were very fortunate. Radha Govinda Maharaj gave class to us in English. And he has a favorite Vaishnava named Hari Suri, who has most wonderful realizations. So Hari Suri analyzes, because we were just telling that story, that Krishna came, told Yogamaya that you move this womb of Devaki to Rohini. And he addressed her, Hey Badri, O auspicious one. Because he wants to give her encouragement. She's got a heavy job to do. That person who's holding up all the universe on his hoods, she has to move him across the Jamuna to Gokul. And she may freak out. I said, Hey Badri, don't worry. And then Krishna gave all the names. He said, because he is attracted to the womb of Rohini, he'll be known as Sankarshan. Because he'll be very strong, he'll be known as Balabhadra. And because he'll give pleasure to all his family members, he'll be known as Ram. So Hari Suri analyzes this, that we may get some doubt that Balaram is appearing as the older brother, and Krishna is appearing as the younger brother. And we all know Krishna is Bhagavan, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but Balaram's playing the part of the older brother, so maybe he's the Krishna's Bhagavan. We may get some doubt. So just to relieve our doubts, Krishna gave all the names of Balaram. Because somebody who's in a superior position, he always gives the name to the child, right? The grandfather, grandmother, auntie, uncle, at least father and mother, they give the name. They're superior persons. So Krishna gave all the names, just so we won't have any doubt who's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna Su Bhagavan Swayam. So then, Krishna Balaram had so many wonderful, well first, let's say one thing. There's one beautiful, just like Maharaj got these verses from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Charitamrita, the first 14 verses, you should study these verses. These are the most amazing verses in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And verse number 7, Sankarshana karna toi shai garboda shai cha payobdi shai seshascha yasyam sakalasa nitya nandaki rama sharanam mamastu. Who is this Balaram? First he appears as Sankarshan. We're hearing about Mahasankarshan, and we heard about this Chaturvyuha. He expands as these four, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna. Then again expands, and then from that Sankarshan, in the Chaturvyuha, comes Karnadakshayi Vishnu. Shesas Karna Shayi Toyi, that Mahavishnu, Karnadakshayi Vishnu. From his, so many universes coming from his pores. Then Garbhodashayi. Then comes the Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, who lies in the ocean of each universe. All the Garbhodakshayi Vishnus. Payo, payas means milk. So Payobdashadi Shayi. That Shirodakshayi Vishnu expands from him. And then from him expands Shesha. These are all expansions or partial, plenary expansions of that Nitya Balaram, Nityananda Balaram. This is Balaram. As Maharaj so very eruditely explained to us, who is Balaram? This is Balaram. So then these two boys, they had so many very attractive pastimes. They were crawling together. They would, both of them would grab onto the tails of the cows and be dragged through the cow dung and mud. This all charmed their mothers very much. So many wonderful pastimes. Krishna and Balaram. Then there's two special pastimes in Braj. One time, the boys were playing in Bandirvan. Maybe in the section of Bhagavatam we're in right now, everyone's going to hear it. They were playing in Bandirvan. And one of the cowherd boys, his mother had kept him home that day. So one asura, he took the form of that cowherd boy. And Krishna immediately noted. He looked like this cowherd boy in every way, but this was a demon. So he went to that demon just to give him assurance. And he embraced him. Krishna embraced the demon, I imagine. He said, now I'm not going to leave you. In Hindi, that means something. I mean, you're going to get it. He said, now I won't leave you. So they divided up into two groups, had some sort of competition. With the prize was that who lost would have to carry the other one on their shoulder, the other group on their shoulder. So Purnima thought, better I be on Krishna's side and don't fight with him. So he got on Krishna's side. So then, I think it was Sridham, he had to carry he was on Krishna's shoulders. Sridham was on Krishna's shoulders. And then Pralamba, he selected Balaram to ride on his shoulders. So the boys were all dancing around with the other boys on their shoulders. And suddenly this one cowherd boy with Balaram, he began to go off into the forest. And Balaram thought, why is this cowboy boy going so far? And when they were out of sight of everyone else, then suddenly he changed into this gigantic form. Huge form with golden helmet and glittering golden ornaments and everything. Huge form. And Balaram said, my, this cowherd boy, he's changed in every aspect. He realized this was a demon. So Balaram swung his arm around and pow! Hit him right in the face. And he fell down dead. Blood was coming from his mouth. He was like a huge mountain. And this was like molten manganese flowing from the mountain. And all the cowherd boys were very happy. They all said, sadhu, 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 sadhu. They're very happy. Now who was this Palambasura before? In Garga Samhita we find out all the previous histories of the demons. Actually, he was a real nice guy. There's two Gandharvas named Huhu and Ha. Huhu and Ha. They come up quite often in the Shastra. So Huhu had a son named Vijay. He was wandering around. Now, Kuvera, we were just hearing all about Kuvera for 1 month, I think. Anyway, Kuvera, he had a beautiful garden. He planted so many flowers in that garden. Somebody stole some of his flowers. Kuvera became very upset. He said, if anybody comes here and steals my flowers, he'll become a demon. I curse him to become a demon. So Huhu's son Vijay, he is wandering around, singing, because the Gandharvas, they all like to sing. And he saw this beautiful garden, he saw these beautiful flowers. So he picked some flowers. Immediately that curse came upon him. Then he fell at the feet of Kuvera. Because yes, you'll become a demon, but in the end, Lord Balaram will come and liberate you. In the end, you'll become and liberate you. Another special pastime we saw here was Dhenukasura. Now this pastime happened in Talavan, just a little ways beyond Madhuvan. There's a village road. It's a little ways beyond. Sometimes we just walk there. It's so nice. Otherwise, the buses have to go way around to the Delhi highway, then out to the highway to Jaipur, Bharatpur, and they finally come to Talavan. Now, I speculated that the cowherd boys were playing on the western side of Talavan because they smelled the tal fruits. And having lived for Braj here for quite some time, I've seen that the tal fruits get ripe in this season, rainy season. And in rainy season, the wind is coming from the east. I've seen that it comes in from the east. And the summer season is blowing out from the west, the lu. It's blowing out from the west. So if in order the cowherd boys to smell the tal fruits, they must have been on the western side. The wind was coming from the east and blowing through Talavan and bringing it to the east. And somebody published this Sarata Deepika of Bismillah Chakravarti Thakur, and there he describes that the cowherd boys were coming from the western side, from Govardhan, because the tall fruit wind, the wind of it was blowing from the east because it was rainy season. So my speculation was correct. So they all smelled these beautiful tal fruits. But there was a big demon in the form of an ass, Denuka, with all his ass-like demon friends. And he never let any Brijbasi or Vaishnava or devotee, anybody taste these fruits. He was guarding this forest, collecting all the tal fruits, sending them to King Kans, and whatever was left over, he and his friends were enjoying. So nobody ever took, no Brijbasi ever took these fruits. But you know, when you're playing, you become very hungry. So the cowherd boys, and I've seen in Braj, they're hungry 24 hours a day, Brijbasi boys. Oh, Krishna and Balaram, so sweet fruit, smell is coming from Talavan. But we can't go there. Please make some arrangement. So Krishna, he looked at Balaram. As we'll tell you in a minute, he can't kill this demon. Krishna can't kill this demon. So he looked at Balaram. Balaram understood. So he went inside Talavan and he took a tal tree. If you want to see a tal tree, if you want to see tal fruits, maybe they're there. You go to Gokulananda temple, Radha Gokulananda temple. When you're going in, on the left side there's a tal tree. Otherwise, if you go to Talavan, there's only about 3 left in Talavan. It used to be a whole forest, Talavan. But Radha Gokulananda, you can see a tal tree. They're shaped like barrel-shaped eggplants. They're purple like that also, violet color like an eggplant. And then gradually they turn bright purple with little purplish highlights. And there's a stem, and they're all around the stem like this, hanging on the tree, type of palm tree. And they're just like mangoes, except they're very stringy, so the best thing is to make juice. One time we came to Talavan. It was after rainy season. It was just at the end of Chaturmas. So there was still one tal fruit on the tree. At that time there was one Baba staying there, Priyasaran Baba. So he immediately told one of his disciples, you climb up there and make some juice. So they brought that tal fruit down, they made juice, and they began to distribute it to the devotees. And devotees were dumping out all their bishlahari, waves of poison, bishlahari, and filling it up with tal juice. Everybody all enjoyed tal, nice fresh tal juice. So this is a big, so many tal trees were there at that time. And Balaram, he took one tree and he began to shake it like this. Now that tal tree in Talavan is not very big, but I can't even move it a millimeter with my both hands. And Balaram just took his one hand and he shook it like this. Thud, 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 thud. All the tal fruit started to fall down. And you've seen asses, they have big ears. So Dinukasuri heard this. Somebody's stealing our tal fruits. And he came running. The first thing he did was he turned his back on Balaram. In front of the spiritual master of the deity, we should never turn our back. As we have signs all over the place, so everybody likes to come right in front of the Lord. But this is a big offense to put your back to the Lord. Then he began to kick Balaram on the chest with his hind legs. Bam, bam, bam. Balaram felt it like somebody was throwing a flower garden. He saw that what Balaram wasn't disturbed, that infuriated him even more. He turned around again and began to kick even harder. And Balaram said, all right, enough of this guy. He grabbed him by his hind legs and swung him around and around and around and around and around and threw him into the top of a tall tree. He hit that tall tree. That one fell over. It hit another one. That one fell over. Hit another one. That bop, 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 bop. All the tall trees like dominoes. Bhagavatam says it's like a hurricane and going through the forest. All these tall trees came crashing down. Then all the other demons come. Ass demons. Now Krishna could get into the fight. So Krishna came and Balaram came and they were throwing all the ass demons up into the tops of the tall trees. And, I forgot one part. When Balaram swung him around, his soul came out of his body and was hovering there in the air and then merged into the body of Balaram. And all the demons, they were throwing them in the tops of the trees. And Bhagavatam describes, it looked like so many different clouds. You know, asses are, some are gray, some are white, some are blackish, dark gray. It's like so many different colored clouds were in the trees. Of course, that time it was a big bloody mess. So that day the cowherd boys didn't take any fruits. Just the Pulindas, all the Aborigine people who were living in the forest, they would take those fruits. But it was rainy season, so after a while, everything was washed away. And the cowherd boys used to come and enjoy tal fruits to their heart's extent. And Kansa realized no more tal fruits is coming from Talavan. He became very upset. Now, who is this demon and why Krishna can't kill him? He was one descendant of Prahlad Maharaj through Bali Maharaj. His name was Sahasik. And he was enjoying in Nandankana, the forest of the demigods, with so many women, just like our Nalakuber and Managri, we just heard all about. And our friend Durvasa Muni, who we know is a very angry fellow, he got upset because he was meditating in the same forest and all their lovemaking sounds upset him. So he came there, you're just like an ass. So you ass-like person, you become an ass. Then he begged forgiveness. He said, well, Krishna will come and Balaram will come and liberate you. So because he was descending in Prahlad Maharaj's line, and one of the promises that Prahlad took was he won't kill anybody in my dynasty. So Krishna can't kill him. Balaram had to kill him. He represents the foolish ass-like mentality. That's why Balaram, this is the Guru's business, is to get this foolish ass-like mentality, materialistic mentality. There's nothing but matter. There's no such thing as spirit. No such thing as spirit soul. This we're put here just to enjoy everything. This is the foolish. And so, just like in America, they have a slogan. What is that? Work hard and enjoy hard. Just like the foolish. He works hard all day, carrying heavy loads. Not even his loads. It belongs to the construction people. He's carrying sand. He's carrying bricks. He's carrying bags of cement. Sometimes laundry. Huge bags. And he's thinking, if I don't work hard, how will I enjoy? End of the day, his master gives him some grass. He gives him a little grass. He was walking through the grass all day long. On both sides of the road, there's grass. But he's thinking, unless I work hard like an ass, how am I going to get grass? This is a foolish ass-like mentality. So Guru has to knock that mentality out of our hearts. So Balaram kills him. We're discussing, he's Adi Guru. In fact, he's so foolish, we call him Vaisak Nandan. Vaisak Nandan. The Vaisak is that's the beginning of the hot season. Very hot and dry. So there's no grass anywhere. Only a little bit here, a little bit there. And the ass goes out. He finds a little grass here. He finds a little grass there. He finds a little grass there. He looks back and he says, wow, I walked so far. I must have eaten so much grass. And he becomes very happy. And we see happy people like our Sarvabhaum, very jolly. They become jolly people, they become very heavy. So he becomes fat. Everybody else is suffering. He's Vaisak Nandan. He's very happy in the hot season. Then rainy season comes, the grass is everywhere, and he's eating and eating, and he doesn't move from that spot. And he looks back and he says, I didn't go anywhere. I didn't eat anything today. And he gets worried. And we see worried people, they become very skinny. Like that. So he represents this foolish ass-like mentality that has to be kicked out by the spiritual master. Oh, and the Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given the meaning of all these demons. That Pralambasura, he represents this cheating and profit, adoration, and distinction. And this cheating mentality, to pretend to be a devotee, but to be into profit, adoration, and distinction, which takes us away from devotional service. So Pralamba took Balaram away from all of the devotees, like that. So he represents this demon, which has to be destroyed by the spiritual master. And we'll discuss something. We heard that Balaram carries a plow, and in English we say a club. The actual word is mushal. Now English can't deal with, it's not a very transcendental language, it can't deal with this language. Sometimes you see here, some days, Balaram with his mushal. It's shaped like a big fat, pregnant American baseball bat. And it's got a little, in the end there's a little spot where it's smaller, you can hold on like that. And you put the rice into a depression in the ground, very hard ground. And you beat the rice like this, the fresh rice with the husk. And the husk comes off. This is what a mushal is. That's why Balaram has his mushal. Because the husk means the useless part. We want the sar, we want the grain, that's the sar, that's the useful thing. And the husk is useless. Useless means unart. So Balaram's actual weapon, at least in Braj, he knows the other one, but in Braj his weapon is this mushal. And you'll see all the Daujis, they have some sort of a mushal. Now we took that Balaram club, that Hanuman club, and we turned it into a nice golden mushal. Sometimes you'll get to see the darshan, big like this. Because Guru's business is to get rid of all our anarts from our heart. Get rid of all the anarts. Balaram's other weapon is a plow. The plow is for plowing up the earth and making it suitable for the seeds to sprout. Just like we see at the end of the end of the summer season, Vaisak, all the earth is very hard. Nothing's going to grow. So I've seen the farmers. They used to have bulls, but now they have their big tractors. They come and they plow up all that earth just before the rainy season to make the earth proper for the seed to come. So we want that bhakti. Our heart is very hard and dry. So Balaram comes with his plow to plow it up, make it nice and soft for that bhakti lata beej to come. Then I see in the farmers, they do the plowing themselves. Then for planting the rice, they just have some cheapo hired labor, especially from Rajasthan. I was wondering why Rajasthan? Because Rajasthan, dry place, there's no rice growing there. So I asked one of the workers, he said, Baba, this teaches everything. So they're all standing in the hot sun, their feet are in the water, the skin between the toes begins to rot and everything, and they're planting this rice. And it's funny, because you think they just, go and, like wheat, you just put it in the ground and it grows. But if you watch what they do with the rice, first they have a little garden, and they start the rice. It's all close together. Then they rip it out of the ground like this and tie it, and they throw it in the back of the truck. Why all this trouble? You rip any plant out of the ground, it's going to die. They rip it out of the ground. They tie it like this with another rice plant. They throw it in the back of the truck. Then they go in the field and they throw these bundles through the air like this. Now you think the plant's going to die. And then they break those bundles and boom, boom, boom. They force them all like that. I said, why don't you just plant it like wheat? He said, well, if you don't do that, you only get 1/3 the harvest. It has to go through all of this. So sometimes we go through a lot of troubles in our life. That's just to make us proper so that the bhakti beej will grow very nicely. Bhakti beej will grow very nicely. So Balaram's actual weapon is this mushal. So now there's going to be a wonderful Abhishek of Krishna and Balaram, and then there's a feast at 1 o'clock for all the devotees. Anybody has any questions?
So Balaram was also from Yashoda and Vasudeva, and then was transferred to Rohini, right? That Balaram was originally from Yashoda.
No, he was in Rohini's womb. When he sent her to Braj because she was pregnant. So he sent her to Braj. So the embryo in her womb was merged with the one from Devaki's womb. Okay?
The same Sankarshan is the same Sankarshan appearing in Chaturmuha Sankarshan. Is the same Sankarshan of like Balaram? Is the same Sankarshan?
Sankarshan is an expansion of Balaram himself. We just read Sankarshan, Karna Toyi Shait. First comes Sankarshan, then Karna Dakshay Vishnu, Garbha Dakshay Vishnu, Shir Dakshay Vishnu, Shesha. All these expansions are coming down from Balaram. He's the origin. So Mahasankarshan from the spiritual sky was in the womb of Devaki, and he got merged with that original Baladev that were just Maharaj so nicely glorified in Rohini's womb. So there's some question over here somehow. Get Bhakta Mike over there.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the lecture class. I always wanted to know what is the difference between the two Chaturvyuhas. So one comes, then the rank comes, then there's a second Chaturvyuha. So is there any difference in their qualities between the two?
We're going to have to go to the spiritual world. I don't understand all this spiritual technology. I just read in teachings of Lord Chaitanya about these things. But anyway, there's one Chaturvyuha, and from that it spans another one, and then from him comes Karanakshayi Vishnu. We'll have to wait till we get back to the spiritual sky to understand all this spiritual technology. Okay, Bolo Sri Daoji Maharaj ki jai. So Prabhupada said now Balaram is here. One time he was, after the installation, he was walking down Bhaktivedanta Swami Marg. And Prabhupada turned and said, now Balaram is here. And he said, if you have any problem, you just go in front of him, my dear sir, like this, and he'll take care of it. So now Balaram is here. So we're very fortunate to be able to worship these two wonderful souls. Two wonderful brothers.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna. Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna